Hi everyone, this is Stan, your favorite Polish Taiwan YouTuber. Hope you're all having a great day. Welcome to today's show. Recently, there has been a piece of news widely discussed in China and abroad. A video of a chained woman in a hut outraged the Chinese internet. This woman is from a rural area of Jiangsu, Xuzhou, and she is a mother of 8 who has been held chained in a doorless shabby shack with a metal chain tied to her neck and nailed to the wall. The weather was freezing cold in the winter, but the woman was wearing only a sweatshirt, no coat. Well, actually, watching that video, you could notice that the environment she's been held in was very poor. No heating equipment, just a concrete bed with some cold steam buns on top. And the most terrifying thing is that iron chain around her neck. No one in the entire village, nor the local government, has ever cared whether she needed any help or medical treatment. When her husband was asked questions about the whole situation, he said that she used to be a beggar, went to his village to beg, and he decided to marry her. But later on, it was found that her name on her marriage certificate is different from her real name. It was just a name made up by her husband. Another strange thing is the age gap between her children. Her oldest son is 23. The age difference between him and her second son is 12 years. And after the second one was born, the following 6 children were born with much shorter time gaps between. She has only 1 daughter and 7 sons, which makes her husband very proud, as in China they traditionally prefer sons in their families. China is known for its long-lasting one-child policy, and they introduced the 2-child policy only in 2015. So, for a Chinese person, just hearing that this lady has 8 children, it raises doubts. During the 12 years between the birth of her first and second child, is there a possibility that she gave more births? And where are these children? Therefore, many people are speculating that she might be a victim of human trafficking. So, how was the situation discovered? Dong Zhiming, a farmer in his 50s living in Xuzhou, Jiangsu province, he actually is a local internet celebrity that became famous as he is a father raising 8 children. Even the local government treated him as a hero and used for propaganda purposes, encouraging Chinese to have more babies. And Mr. Tong's home even became a pilgrimage site for his fans and a place where everyone likes to check in. Dong Zhiming has been proudly sharing his parenting experiences, and for the government, he is an ideal candidate to become a new face of propaganda. Just take a look. He has a rural household registration, 8 children. It really fits into the current CCP narratives, such as the new down to the countryside movement, or resolving the 3 rural issues: agriculture, rural areas, and farmers. So, one of the TikTok creators thought, what if I make a video on the wife of Mr. Tong, the mother of his 8 children? And then this creator discovered in what conditions did Mr. Tong live. For the village, it was an open secret accidentally exposed by a vlogger. And now this issue is widely discussed not only in China but also abroad. And the vlogger who filmed Mrs. Tong, he said at one of his posts that he didn't want to do him any harm, nor did he want to put Dong Zhiming in jail, as who will raise those 8 children instead of him? This is a really weird remark, actually. But it shows one thing: how prominent is the human trafficking issue in China, how are women and children being targeted, and that criminal supply chain has a long history, but no one dares to pursue and report on it. It's an open secret known to everyone, including those CCP officials. And it's not only the criminals that are involved in human trafficking, the communist government officials are covering it up. So it would be dangerous for anyone in China to try to shed a light on the issue. So when this video was published on the Chinese internet, the people were just outraged. According to one of the Weibo users, Chenyang roughly translated as aged like wine database, mentioned the following: the number of cases when women are being sold and children abducted raises extremely in the week before the Lunar New Year. The Chinese people who have been quiet for a long time were suddenly surprised to find that these cases take place very close to everyone. In Shanxi, Hebei, and Jiangsu, there is such a common and mature supply chain of buying and selling women and children, and this criminal system is closely integrated with China's household registration system and marriage registry. In the very traditional rural areas, the people are slowly selling their humanity out. The so-called hospitable townships can sell you out and make your life hell on earth at any time. It is not surprising that these things are still very common to this day. And what's even more terrifying is that there was another chained woman in the same village. She had mental problems and wasn't taken care of at all. She couldn't even walk normally. And of course, Chinese propaganda, media and vloggers didn't talk about this lady, because she didn't have enough babies probably. You know, right now during this 3-child policy, they're encouraging you to have more. There might be a possibility of human trafficking and sex slavery market which is being supported and covered up by the local government. For those who don't have a deep understanding of Chinese system, they might think that as a country with such vast population, it might have some human trafficking problem. But what's important is that the current human trafficking situation is caused and then deepened by the CCP's policies. The decline of women's rights is also related to the CCP's misogyny. If we look at China's household registration system, how they are dividing the whole nation into rural and urban households, meaning simply dividing all the citizens into first and second grade. For example, if you have rural registration, you won't be able to go to a hospital in the city or send your children to school. In addition, the one-child policy implemented by the CCP for many years, coupled with the backward concept of looking up to man and down to women, 重男轻女, it only caused imbalances in male and female populations in China in this one-child policy generation. As a result, we can see that some of the Chinese men are trying to find brides for themselves through various illegal methods, including human trafficking. There is also a prominence of crimes related to sexual slavery, abuse, kidnapping, drug-facilitated sexual assaults, and so on. While talking about human trafficking in China, it's not only the criminal organizations that are involved. The public officials also play an important role here. China is a rule of man country that has no rule of law. Such a system only causes corruption, a criminal culture of mutual cover-ups. Government officials are usually participating in organized crime. It starts at the lowest ranks of party officials and goes all the way up to the key decision makers. This is a perfect example of the communist system. Local bullies are dominating local politics, and the state apparatus is penetrating the whole society while at the same time supporting organized crime. And talking about women's rights in China, or the lack of those rights. Starting from the down to the countryside movement, the educated young women from the cities couldn't return back easily. Some of them were forced to have sexual relations to get money or help in returning to their homes. During the Great Famine, the men who held the resources abused women. The women were forced to have sex to get some food or necessities. And to this day, we're in the 21st century, and women in the CCP-run China are facing problems in career development and are forced to follow the unspoken rules. You want a promotion? Then your superior will force you to do the things you don't want to do. You stood up against sexual harassment? You might lose your job for that. So, you see, most of the problems that women in China are facing are related to the CCP and its inhumane, corrupt, misogynist system. The rule of man leads to no laws being followed, and women lose their autonomy, being constantly harassed. The Chinese Communist Party runs its society based on guanxi. Your connections decide everything, and women's autonomy becomes a sacrifice in such a society. Women are being objectified and even used as bribes for the privileged classes or status objects. The system is depriving you of your autonomy, of your reproductive rights, constantly belittling women's status in the society. The CCP system itself doesn't give women any right to speak for themselves, generally speaking. In democratic countries, people usually pay attention to female representation in the political system. But in the CCP land, the only opportunity to participate in politics is directly related to the fact if you have any CCP members in family, the so-called red families. And even the high-ranking CCP officials are sometimes selling their daughters out in exchange for party benefits. Moreover, the CCP has never been held liable for all the human rights violations. They only distance themselves from the direct violators if the case becomes public. For example, now they are investigating the case of Mr. Tang. But don't talk about sexual crimes committed by the top officials of the CCP, such as Zhang Gaoli, harassing Peng Shuai. This is a recent photo saying that Peng Shuai is fine, but look into the mirror. There is a CCP official there. And if you dare to speak about those cases publicly, you'll be immediately silenced. Wang Yaqiu, a researcher at Human Rights Watch, believes that the Western media should not promote the statement Peng Shuai denies sexual assault, and not even take any interviews with Peng Shuai while she is still in China. You should think twice before engaging with her. Don't ask a person how she feels knowing she can't speak freely. Don't be played into being a part of the CCP propaganda scheme. Therefore, in China, as long as the CCP system does not disappear, there won't be any progress in the situation with women's rights. At most, you'll just see another performance by the CCP saying how developed they are, and that it's the West that's violating human rights. But in reality, the CCP is just a brutal dictatorship with no respect to human dignity. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please press like, subscribe, and share. This is Stan. I see you in the next one. Bye.